Okay, chapter 17. We are on Roman numeral 3. Again, we're discussing bankruptcy and specifically at this point, chapter 11, reorganizations. And we're ready to start with B. Again, I mentioned that before. The requirements for the petitions, the orders for relief, all those are the same as if chapter 7 bankruptcy. That was covered previously. The debtor gets to continue to operate the business as a debtor in possession unless there's a showing of cause, such as fraud or gross mismanagement, to have a trustee appointed. So I'm going to repeat that. A trustee need not be appointed. Unlike Chapter 7, where there's going to be a trustee appointed, Chapter 11, a trustee need not be appointed. So we move on to paragraph D. After the order for relief has been granted, a creditors committee is appointed, and that usually consists of the holders of the largest 7 unsecured claims. So the 7 largest unsecured claims get a seat at the table of the creditors committee. So on to paragraph E. For the first 120 days after the order for relief has been granted, the debtor has the sole opportunity during that 4-month window to propose a plan of reorganization, and then can seek creditor approval within a window of time also. Then, once that time period expires, if there hasn't been any acceptance of the plan of reorganization, any party of interest can propose a plan. Executory contracts. Again, what's an executory contract? Going way back to the beginning of the semester. The debtor in possession has the right to reject executory contracts. And again, they have to get the approval of the court to do that. But think of a business, think of like for a Kmart that's going through a chapter, if it goes through a chapter 11 reorganization. What Kmart can do is they want to close down those stores that are not profitable. What the problem is they've got these long-term leases, right? So when they get out from under those leases, a lease is a contract, right? It's an executory contract during the term of that lease until the term of the lease is over. So the debtor in possession can propose to the court, look, these are the stores that we would like to close down, and we would like to be able to no longer have to be held responsible for these leases. And again, keep in mind that what's happening with a reorganization is that the goal is for the business to survive by trying to get rid of some of their debts, or to at least minimize their debts so that they can find a way or a path forward. I've crossed out G, the collective bargaining agreement paragraph, and then we come to H, confirmation of the plan. So I can say this very simply. Only the court can confirm the plan, and I can repeat it again. Only the court can confirm the plan. Ultimately, the decision as to whether or not the plan, as proposed by the debtor or anyone else, the court, again by the court we mean the bankruptcy judge, but the court is who gets to decide whether or not they're going to accept the plan. That's called a confirmation of the plan. Now there's 2 methods, and I am not holding you responsible for knowing what those 2 methods are, but there are 2 ways in which the court can confirm the plan. And finally we come down to I, discharge. To the extent that, and again this is with a chapter 11, to the extent that a debt is not included in the plan of reorganization under chapter 11, then a discharge is going to be granted for all those debts that were not part of the plan of reorganization. Now this paragraph I is nestled here under Roman numeral 3, the reorganization, but it's a nice opportunity for me to remind you that not all debts are discharged when it comes to a Chapter 7 individual bankruptcy proceeding. So be very careful about choosing those answer choices that indicate all, all or never, always. And then finally, Roman numeral 4, Chapter 13, the consumer debt adjustment, that is scratched out, and so you are not held responsible for that. So that is the end of Chapter 17.